Good morning. As I say, I'm the engineering super at Cory Riverside. Recently rebranded from Cory Environmental to Cory Riverside Energy. I run a fleet of 5 tugs, moving the barges and the waste from central London down into Belvedere. The company itself has been operating for about 100 years. Started off with oil and coal and then moved into using the empty barges that had the oil and coal in and removing the waste as a natural progression. It's been on the river and in the east coast of the UK for 100 years. It's been involved in the wars, everything really. It's got a long history on this river. The Riverside site has been developed over these years. It's got 3 slipways and it's a very versatile site, as you will see later. We move 3.5 million tonnes of waste a year. We have 47 barges on the river that we use to transport the waste in a containerised system. These are loaded and filled up at the wharfs, onto the boats and then down to our incinerator at Belvedere, which is a new plant. It's 6 years old now. It's up to maximum efficiency. It's working very well and it's been received very well. So, river transportation is our main core that I'll be speaking about and how we keep the operation running. We have very little downtime because we have the luxury of 5 tugs, but only requiring 4 a day to keep the operation at its maximum. So this is the journey, this is the areas we work from. So you can see the landmarks for where our jetties are. The final position would be Tilbury, which is where the ash and the metals that aren't burnt are sifted and then moved on to aggregate, as John mentioned, for road base coverings. So everything is used from the waste. We're going to turn it into energy, we turn it into roads. So the fleet we have 5 tugs. One is 20 years old, it's just had a life extension, and we have 4 tugs that are 5 years old, built by Darman, specially built for us because of our air draft requirements for the bridges. They can carry up to 80 boxes down the river. So the tugs themselves are 796 kilowatts. They're 5 years old. They run about 2,000 hours a year. They have very little downtime because they're modern design with the modern engine, tier 2 engines. Okay, so this is the Cory site. Let's get into this. So as we can see here, we have the moorings, Pier 1 and Pier 2. This is where we can perform in-water maintenance. It also gives us the opportunity to do general oil changes, emergency repairs. The foreshore itself, I'll come to when we do about propellers and fouling. And then we have dry docks and grids for barge works. So any barges that are damaged are put onto these areas. The dry docks can be used for our older barges and for our support vessel, which is called the Resolve. The site itself also has a foreshore, which we'll come to when we talk about propellers and the fouling that they experience up in the jetties up further up the river. Now, the fouling of the propellers can cause major issues. Our engineers on board are trained to basic standards. They have the MCA engineers operators licenses, and they're backed up by shore team engineers, which is myself, 2 marine engineers and a fitter. So the basic tasks are completed by the onboard engineers. So day-to-day running, diagnostics, and small tasks of greasing and keeping general maintenance up to date. Cleaning is also a big thing. Anything that's complicated or takes time is done by the shore engineers. So the shore engineers are backed up by myself, and the investment in the tools and the right products to make the work flow easily without any downtime. The downtime is 1 day's maintenance per week, per vessel. So Monday to Friday you have 4 vessels running. 1 vessel will be rotated out for general maintenance, and at this time all tasks are completed. If there's anything breaking down, we swap a vessel out of the rotation and generally can fix it within 24 hours. The reason for this is the investment into modular parts. So certain areas we identify as critical spares, and we will keep a stock of the criticals on board and on the shoreside team. If something breaks, we modularly change it out, overhaul it ashore and get it ready for the next vessel. This stops long-term downtimes, and we found with the supply chain, mainly from Europe, with it being a Damen vessel, a lot of the stuff is Dutch-based, and the companies tend to just come direct from there. They don't keep stock in the UK. So by having the modular replacement system that we overhaul ashore, keeps the downtime to a minimum. It took a little bit of investment, but we're starting to see it now with general failures from steering blocks from wear and tear, where it would take us a week to 2 weeks to get the parts. Now it takes us 24 hours to rotate the vessel out, change the part, put it back into service. So that's the type of thing we're striving towards. As the vessels are getting older, the critical systems are becoming more developed and the modular replacement is getting better. So, propellers. Luxury of the site we work on is the foreshore. The design of the vessels means that we can actually beach these vessels up onto the foreshore without any damage to the hull because of their flat-based design. We're prone to propeller fouling and damage through the areas we're working up on the further the jetties upriver with debris that's on the seabed, effectively sucking through the nozzles, damaging the blades or bending them, wrapping itself around the throat or even on the bow thrusters which we have forward. Now, traditionally you would cut this out with a diver or in a dry dock. Now, the foreshore at Cory's means that you can beach, get to the vessel with the tidal drop, repair or assess what the damage is, and effectively we usually get the vessel back up on the next tide. So that again, the downtime is almost nothing from propeller fouling or damage. Without the foreshore at Cory's, we would have a tug out for maybe 1 or 2 weeks, if you're talking about propeller change. We carry 2 spare propellers now. So these can be done in 48 hours. We can change the propeller and get the vessel back out again. So, the maintenance system itself, when the vessels were built, the new vessels, they identified a lack of structure in how to forecast what was going to be needed in terms of maintenance. So they came up with the DAMOS system, which is an AMOS-based PMS system. It encompasses the whole vessel, every part, including certification, surveys, everything. It's hours and time-based maintenance, which is if you've come from a larger company, you would understand anyway. It can be utilised to include your spares for each component. You can form a base of history, which can be used for surveys. And it can also be used to overview your man hours that you're spending on each job, whether you can cut those down, and your costs. It's what you put in is what you will get out of this. It can be used as just a basic, put the time in, put the date in, it will give you the jobs, but you can add into it and you can develop it as the jobs change. You can add jobs into it as you're discovering things that may be missed. If you introduce new equipment, you can also add that into the system. So it's quite a versatile way of keeping your vessel maintenance up to date and keeping your costs down, because you're not completing maintenance that you've already done, or if people aren't handing over that they've done those jobs. You're not using your resources too much. So, on site itself, because it's not just a place where you moor ships, we also have barge builders, we have electricians, we have fitters and turners, and we have all the equipment that these guys can use. We now integrate all the department skills. So all the repairs, maintenance, modifications, any damage to the vessels, predominantly is done on site now. With everyone involved in terms of the barge builders and the metal workers and the fabricators, they're well versed in ship design. So the basic ship design. So here is just a picture of a steering flat with a steering gear. This was all rotten last year. It just let it go. So we cut everything out and we've replaced all the steel around the back and the new bulkhead there. And this is all done in-house. There's no outside help on this one. This is a big cost cutting. If you don't have to get an outside firm in, you're not paying for extra labour, their material charges, etc., etc. All we actually pay for really is the materials, because the man hours and everything are all built into the site. So, we've completed 2 dockings on the site in the last 2 years, and to my ecstatic cost-cutting things, we only had to get 2 contractors in for the whole docking. And that doesn't include the PLA surveys, but the actual work on board was completed pretty much on site with no extra costs incurred for labour. So this kept our everything very, very streamlined. And that is the core of is using the people we have on site to do the work now. Predominantly before I joined, we were using a lot more outside help. By investing in tools and training, we've stopped that. So this is just as she's ready to go out. She's 1962, this one. Engine overhauls as well. We complete these on site. We have the infrastructure to move the parts on to the vessels, and we have the team there. Again, by just cutting the engine manufacturer's representatives down to 1 and enjoying our manpower assisting the engineers at all times, we again drive the cost down of the actual overhaul, because the representative from the company that own the engines predominantly costs quite a lot per day. They allocated 3 men per overhaul, and last year we completed 8. So by cutting this down to 1, we almost £40,000 off each bill. These again were done within time frame of 3 weeks, both engines. The class as a major overhaul. We use the onboard engineers and the shore engineers to assist them. This improved their knowledge and has a knock-on effect that it's more efficient when they have problems on board. They can diagnose them quicker, and then I can deal with them quicker. There's a picture of all 4. So, looking forward, we are investing in people again. We have the first lot of apprentices have gone through the system, which were boat masters. We've got a new year intake of boat masters now starting to do their apprenticeship. And we've opened this up into the barge yard for the welding. So we bring that manpower that's already used on the tugs along with it. So they're doing a 4-year apprenticeship in barge building, which will incorporate work on the tugs and get them used to working afloat. And we've also taken on a marine engineer apprentice. All of these will be licensed, and he will slot into the shore team and eventually become an on-board relief engineer. So again, it's all in-house training, and helps him to learn our ways and how we keep costs down and work. As a company as well, they also do a lot of courses to keep personal development as you require it, especially in the health and safety cultures, risk assessments, safe working loads, safe lifting. Anything that can add to the skill of the person, if it's available, is offered. This is where the actual tugs run to. So this is the Belvedere plant itself. As you can see, the tugs will go down to this jetty, there's moorings. And this is our achievements as the plant itself, in terms of our safety and what we support environmentally. In the last 2 years, the way we've developed the Cory marine operation is to invest in the people, invest in training, and invest in the tools to do the job. These have all helped keep the cost down. Long term, it's the critical modular replacement systems we put in place. There's a lot of things now are modular. It's more expensive to try and fix something than it is to replace it and then fix it off-site. So you can buy an overhaul kit, but the downtime and the costs incurred in that against just having one piece of equipment that you can swap out and take time over is a driving force in keeping things down.
Thank you very much. Can we give a round of applause?